Hello everyone, my name is Dominono and welcome back to Dark Souls 2. Here we are, back in Drangleic Castle. You guys want to wake up? Of course you do. Of course you do. Because we are right at the King's Gate. Quite literally. Never has a home stretch been more home stretchier. Gotta equip the symbol of the king to get through here. Do-do-do-do-do. Where is it? Here we go. Thank you. And what would be the most useful ring to wear on a utility slot? Not 100% sure, really. Could be anything, really. It's probably the Dark Quarter ring still. So, hello Emerald Herald.
My journey is already complete.
Is it?
My name is Shanalot.
That's a stupid name.
The dragon gave me this name.
That'd be why it's stupid.
For I was born with none. I was born of dragons, contrived by men, by ones who would cozen fate herself. They are the ones who created me.
Okay then.
But they failed.
Oh, really? You look like you're
I
here.
did not come out as intended.
Oh.
Fate would not be bested. And men were cursed once again.
So were you created to try and lift the curse then?
Nashandra will come after me.
I think we figured that part out
Knowing
already.
that you will take the throne and link the fire.
That's debatable.
She covets the first flame and the great soul.
Yeah, well, she's garbage.
Put Nashandra to rest.
Okay. What you got to say? So I've just realised something, and this connects to Dark Souls 3 actually. And since Dark Souls 3 is more recent, do you remember Osiris, the Consumed King from Dark Souls 3? He was obsessed with dragons, he's the king of Lothric, so on. We'll get to that when we get to the Dark Souls 3 playthrough. But his child of dragons, as he calls it, is named Ocelot, which, you know, you could take as just it's named after the cat species from real world. But her name is Shanalot. And that makes me wonder, like, children of dragons, so does that mean that Ocelot is also sort of artificially conceived with anti-curse in mind, or I wonder. Throne of what? So here we are. Those of you who are actually sort of good at lore crafting and can remember little details and whatnot, see if you can find any more parallels between Shanalot and Ocelot, because I think that might be an interesting thing to explore. I mean, I guess it's also possible that it's just a naming convention and that it actually has no real bearing on actual physical things. But now that we are down here, this is the only part of the game left. It's a bit of a walk, admittedly, but if we have to walk it again, I will obviously skip those. So we do have a couple of summon signs here, even though none of them are players. Bradley of the Old Guard, who appeared earlier. The head of Vengal is here, and so is Benhart of Jugo. Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to summon you. Shit. Okay, hang on a second. Alright, sorry about that, I had to send him back, since I've been trying to make a point of doing this all solo. Right, so let's buff up and check out the first of the final boss fights. The Throne Watcher and the Throne Defender. So hey, you kids like Ornstein and Smo, right? No, you hated them? Well, ow. Ow, fuck, that was rough. So one of them is fast and the other is slow, which is a pretty reasonable combination if you're going to do such things. So the deal with the Throne Watcher and the Defender is that you can't kill one and then the other. Because if you try to, then I believe about 20 seconds later, the living one will revive the dead one. Thanks for having weirdly synchronized move swings. I appreciate it. Ow. That was a quicker stab than I wanted it to be. unfortunately the slow one is quite slow. Ow. We've got quite a lot of range though. And there is a fucking ouch. Fighting these guys by yourself is quite hard. I didn't seem to have a huge amount of health relative to my damage, but I guess that was a counterattack. And obviously the damage is rough. And I can't afford to kill one without being able to kill the other in relatively quick time afterwards, so that's annoying. That was lucky. Okay, I think I'm starting to get a sort of something of a feel for this, but I do know that at some point they will buff their weapons and do even more damage, so that's rough. I also believe... Ow, bloody hell. Oh no, why did I press Q? That was not the button I wanted. Ouch. Yeah, I get it, you're agile, you can do flippy things. Oh, there's that. That's great. Yeah, you don't seem to do that shit very much. Then you follow up with multiple swings. I know for a fact that those weapon buffs, because they both do them. Ow, fucking hell. That they do have a finite limit, so let's see if we can pop a life gem there. Would be nice if I would actually hit people, wouldn't it? Yeah, there you go. I don't... Ow, bloody hell. I don't... Oh, well, I was about to say I don't think they refreshed them, but obviously that's not true. Shit, ow, shit. More life gems, please. So this by yourself is clearly a fight that needs to be a fucking great deal. It needs to be done slowly and methodically, which is irritating, really. Oh, great, he's gone for his weapon buff. So that's good. Did you put your shield aside? You did, that's interesting. I didn't know you did that. I don't think either of them has ranged capability. Just very quick, closing. Okay, so they're both on sort of similar health, that's good. That means that if I take the kill shot on one of them, I should, theoretically, if I'm careful, be able to kill... Oh, you were closing in for longer than I thought you were. Need to not get stuck. So, this place is also surrounded by ash, which kind of implies that it's, Oh, that was rough. That implies that this is, the kiln of the first flame, which is the deal with the throne. That the throne and the kiln are the same actual thing. Life gems are doing pretty well right now. I do have 3, I think, Estises left, but, you'll see why I'm trying to hold on to them sort of soonish, hopefully. So the Watcher is the agile one, and the Defender is the heavy cookie. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh. No. Ah! I started doing it. Ah, that was so close as well. Shit. Let's try that again, shall we? I think the major problem with this kind of fight is fatigue. Because once you've done, like we just did, like a pretty decent attempt, I think you can get burnt out very quickly. So, you either want your attempts to go shit right off the bat, or you want them to go well enough to win. If that makes sense. That did quite a bit of damage, didn't it? Not today, buddy. That's a stab, I didn't realize. That's another stab, but let's eat an Elizabeth mushroom because that regens our health for quite a while. Nope. Nope. Ow. Jerk. I'm not 100% sure if the Throne Watcher is a girl or not. But, yeah, it's possible. Wow, I dodged Defender's attack there by nothing more than luck, really. Ow. And then he attacked me with the delayed shot. I think I'll move to Divine Blessings from here because I want my health restore to go well. Alright, now that Defender's got low health, I should try and punish the Watcher as much as I can. That was pretty cool, but also, shut up. I don't know if those appear to be lightning buffs, but I'm not 100% sure what damage type they actually count as. Could be either, really. Huh, I thought you were too far away to hit, to be honest, but whatever. You need to try and dodge them by the skin of your teeth and get in close, but because there's two of them, that's such an unrealistic prospect. I'm gonna burn a life gem there, just in case of future damage. I don't know how long their buffs last. Like, they might be as long as a player's, or shorter, I don't really know. Yes! That's one down. Now I have to kill you quickly. Ow. Fuck. Get up, get up, get up. Fuck you. Gotcha. Throne Watcher and Defender down. Second go. Very nice. Let's chug life gems. I got their souls and shit. Let's get ready because the next boss fight is imminent. Now this is interesting because this only happens if you take the Throne Watcher and Defender as the last bosses in the main game. You can kill them earlier. Ooh. But here, Nashandra comes in by herself, looking a lot worse than we remember. Skirt designed by Nito. I don't know, corset blouse designed by H.R. Geiger. She actually does look very Geiger-esque now that I think about it. So yeah, but I saved all of my Esthers from that last attempt, so we should be able to do this decently. I don't really want to, Nashandra. I would like to live, all things considered. Alright, so she pops curses around the area, and she is something of a ranged spellcaster specialist. She's got Dark Lurker style beams. These things do curse, so they eat away at our health quite regularly, which is rough. Plus, they hollow us out, because that's what curse does, which is irritating. I believe you can disperse these by attacking them. So create a safe sort of angle of attack if you can. Her melee attacks are not her most ferocious aspect, but they are also not to be taken lightly, by any means. That's an explosion, I'm almost certain. Makes sense, really. I don't know how effective fire is as a element against her, actually, but as you can see, her health pool is not very huge, and her swings are wide. Nashandra is ironically one of the weakest, ow, I say as I take a smack, one of the weakest, oh, fucking hell, that took a lot of damage out. Yeah, she's one of the weakest, doobity-doobity-doob, I say as I just take repeated bonks to the face. But she is one of the weakest bosses in the game. She does not have the most health, and her ranged capabilities leave her. All of her attacks actually leave her open quite badly. She is not the most ferocious of end bosses, but then, as you may remember, Gwyn was not the most terrible emotions. But we're still not done yet. The DLC. The DLC kings, Sunken, Iron, and Ivory. Because Aldia has something to say here.
You, conqueror of adversities.
That's me.
Give us your answer.
I will. Give us your answer. So, if you notice in the first part of that speech, it does sound a lot like this dude's got some voice of his own. And I'm gonna equip the flame quartz ring here because all of Aldia, Scholar of the First Sin's attacks are fire-based. This one charges up for a long time, but it's like I couldn't remember offhand what it was, so I want to avoid it if I can here. And he has fire going on around him at all times. Almost all times, even. So it does do damage to you if you stand near it, which is very, very dangerous. That's a teleport, and he does sort of explode when he appears first time. And he stops burning briefly. Sticking that in means that the tentacles will erupt in a sort of line from that space, so just be aware of that. You need to try and race to the spot that he appears at, because you need to get your damage in while it's safe to do so. That's Pillars of Flame. It's a sort of base kind of pyromancy deal. Don't get too close because that explosion will knock you down, and that would be a bummer, really. I believe that the Divine Blessing heals you through, that's an explosion or an incineration effect. But I believe the Divine Blessing should... Oh, fuck. Ah, you... I didn't realize you were still... Oh, no. I'm toast. Oh, that's really annoying. Yeah, I didn't realize the incineration kept going after he started casting new spells. Alright. I think I was starting to talk about it, but stopped. You know, I'll bring it up when we get to the fight again. Alright, so I'm just gonna try resin at random here. That's a hell of a noise. I don't know if Dark will do anything particularly good because he seems to be on fire, but I don't know, maybe, who knows. But like I was saying, the at the start of his speech, you can hear a woman's voice in there quite clearly. And that would seem, and it's a lot of people think that it's the Emerald Herald, that it's Channelot, which it might well be. I don't know. Ow. And that would seem to imply that she is like a creation of Aldia, which, you know, is definitely possible. Ah, look at that. Popping a Divine Blessing seems to give you a great deal of healing capability there. So that's very, very helpful. Even when the fire is burning. And through the attack, the self-damage inflicted by the Chaos Blade, which is very handy as well. But, yeah, that death was kind of embarrassing because Aldi is not really a very strong fight. He's just kind of irritating. With all of his spell casts and such. But, yeah, so this is the sort of the true final boss, as it were. It is Aldia, Scholar of the First Sin. So, you know, that's what he is. He is the Scholar of the First Sin. That's his existence. This entire cast animation counts as an attack one, by the way, so you will be able to counter-attack that. Just make sure you roll from the explosion, because it will be quite damaging. Quite damaging should it land. That's the incineration. I don't really want to go back into that. Admittedly, the Divine... No, okay, he's disappeared, but the Remnants still work. So yeah, he's not a tough fight, he's just sort of an irritating one. Much like Nashandra. Crosscut. Oh, fuck, I didn't kill him. Oh no, not again, not again, not again, not again, not again, not again, not again. Oh, I thought he was going to get the shot off before my blessing. Oh, that would have been so awful. Oh, worry no longer. It's over. Isn't it? Why didn't that kill you? Fine, fuck off. He might be resilient to damage while he's on fire, but maybe I didn't notice that. Still, it's over now. I switched to the Pharaoh's mask for the fire resist.
Here, patiently.
Did you?
The throne will certainly receive you,
It will.
but the question remains. Would you tell me,
You can hear the woman's voice quite clearly in that. There.
or something else entirely?
So now you are not presented with both options unless you unlock Aldia through the requirements and then beat him. Now the requirements, I believe, are to kill the ancient dragon and to kill Vendrick before you beat Nishandra. I think. I don't know if doing the DLC is all necessary to trigger the Aldia fight. It might be. It's possible. Once you have all the king's crowns. Now, it is also possible to go back and talk to Vendrick once you've gathered all of the crowns, and he will give you some more expository dialogue. I didn't include that in this because it would just be a lot of listening and then conjecture. So if you're into that, by all means go check it out. Look it up on YouTube. Vendrick's speech is bound to be there. Transcripts are bound to exist in the Souls wikis. But no, for now we're going to talk about the endings. So, the Throne of Want is in there, and as you can see, it does appear to be built into the Kiln of the First Flame. There is ash around here, so that would imply that Drangleic is built on that space. And it seemed to imply back in Dark Souls 1 that the space that contained the Kiln of the First Flame was not Lordran, was not the actual area which we interacted with, but rather a sort of out-of-dimension place. Whereas here in Dark Souls 2, Drangleic seems to be the actual First Flame spot. Which might imply that Vendrick, after beating the four Great Ones, built his entire kingdom on the Kiln, but couldn't link it for some reason. He couldn't link it, and he couldn't usher in the Age of Dark. But leaving here will allow the flame to fade again. And it's not painted the same kind of way that it is in Dark Souls 1, or indeed in Dark Souls 3. Rather, it's given strange new things like the Throne of Want, like it is the first flame essentially. But just like in Dark Souls 1, we are choosing the dark path. Leave the throne. So we will wander out of this place, allow the flames to fade, and usher in the Age of Dark proper again. Although apparently the flame was linked since we did that in Dark Souls 1. Canonically, I believe it is accepted that the
There is no path.
that the flame is linked.
Beyond the stable light, beyond the reach of dawn. One could possibly await us. And yet we seek it insatiably, such as our fate.
The implication in that speech being that there is nothing beyond the scope, the scope of light and the reach of dark, that there is nothing but the cycle, that there is nothing but it is either an age of flame or it is an age of dark, and that's the eternal machination of this world. That's how it exists. That is its clockwork. And yet we seek it insatiably. The idea that there is maybe something outside of this, that we could maybe put a stop to the cycle in its entirety, and perhaps really that is the Age of Grey, isn't it? In Dark Souls 1, before there was an Age of Fire and gods, the dragons ruled the Grey lands. They ruled a grey world. And so without light or dark you have an amalgamation of two, I guess. Whether or not it's possible to get back to that period is completely unknown. Well, Dark Souls 2 is done. I've shown you, I think, every boss in the game. All of the areas, all of the progression, all of the DLC. And I did it by myself, which I'm quite proud of. It went quite well, really. So, Dark Souls 2, lore-wise, implication-wise, things that you can piece together-wise, I think is ultimately weaker than Dark Souls 1. I think Dark Souls 1 has more connections amongst itself, whereas this one seems to be more about connecting back to 1 with things here that you can't really digest well enough to actually build more onto. It's just like, it's very paper thin, I think. However, mechanically, gameplay-wise, I think Dark Souls 2 outshines Dark Souls 1 by a pretty wide margin. Like, the example that I would immediately set off with would be that we beat most of this game without using a shield. Like in Dark Souls 1, a shieldless build would be horribly underpowered. You would need a great deal of skill to do it shieldless, and I'm sure some people have. Some people are probably telling me right now, I'll do it without a shield, you're just crap. Maybe you're right, but it is easier to do it without a shield in Dark Souls 2. Not necessarily because the game is easier, which I still think it is, but because the mechanics of how it handles your weapons in both hands and how it handles its like equipment, I think is just overall better. Dark Souls 2, you can equip multiple weapons per hand, which is something you can't do in Dark Souls 1 very much. You can have 2 in each hand, I believe, so you'll get like a shield and your spell thing, or a shield and your ranged option, plus maybe 2 types of weapons, whereas in Dark Souls 2, multiple types of weapons, range, your spellcasting all in one sort of big batch. Being able to equip shields in your main hand and weapons in your offhand, and being able to still use them properly is, I think, a good option. The addition of life gems and such, I think are a key part of what makes Dark Souls 2 the easiest in the series. And it's, I mean, at the start of the regular new game, you will only get like 1 Estus flask, like drink. 2 if you find the shard in Majula. So obviously you need to rely on your life gems more, but since you end up relying on them and you can buy them infinitely, they do become a bit of a healing cheese. So I think that's unfortunate that the difficulty is sort of toned down, because a big part of what made Dark Souls 1 so inspiring was the adversity and the satisfaction you got for overcoming that challenge, which is kind of why I went into New Game Plus for this playthrough, because I wanted to have, I wanted things to be tougher than they were the first time round. And yet, I went in with a character who was quite highly leveled, and yet, I did clearly have my moments of hardship there. It was abundantly clear that this wasn't an easy thing to do. It was, I died multiple times throughout. I think I kept in all of them. Like, there may be 1 or 2 fights where I died in inside runs that didn't go anywhere, which I may have left out. But ultimately Dark Souls 2 is still a very, very good game. Sorry, my arms I shuffle a pack of cards to keep my hands occupied. It's a bad habit. But yeah, Dark Souls 2 is still a very good game. I think Dark Souls 3 ultimately makes the best leap between Dark Souls 1 style storytelling and Dark Souls 2 mechanical improvements. So I do think 3 is the strongest overall. But for feeling of success and wonder and like being introduced to a franchise, I think Dark Souls 1 sells itself incredibly well, and that's why I hold it higher than Dark Souls 2. But, yeah, Dark Souls 2 is definitely worth your time and investment. Do get the Scholar of the First Sin edition, because they are still sold in 2 different options, the regular game and then the DLC separately, or Scholar of the First Sin, which includes all the DLC plus that extra sort of ending stuff. And, you know, all in all, it's an incredibly strong series, and I look forward to playing Dark Souls 3 through on this channel. Yeah, so I think that's really all I've got to say about this. The ending for this is also more ambiguous both ways. Dark Souls 1, the dark ending, the serpents arrive and tell you to expect that this is the Dark Lord who will usher in the new age of dark, and it will be the coming. But Dark Souls 2 seems to imply that leaving the throne says we want to find another option, find the third option, find the grey, the middle ground, find something that is not an age of dark or an age of light, but somewhere in the middle. Which, you know, you can interpret. I personally choose to interpret that as we are becoming the next Dark Lord of this new age. But because of its vagaries, you can interpret it a couple different ways. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say about this. So yeah, enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this playthrough. I hope you enjoyed the game. I hope I did a decent enough job of explaining things that you wanted to know. If I didn't, by all means ask in the comments and I will add what the best I can to your question. So thanks to all these wonderful people for creating the game. Thank you very much for watching me play through it. And I will see you in the next series.